You will need 2 pounds of powdered sugar. That's this whole bag. 3 tablespoons of meringue powder. 2/3 cup of water. 1/4 cup of corn syrup. 1 tablespoon of butter extract. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. 1 teaspoon of white food coloring. This helps so your colors won't bleed into each other. Hi, and welcome to Rooted in Essential Oils. So today for this video, we're making royal icing, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. So very simple ingredients that you will need. First thing first, you will have to get your powdered sugar. You'll need the whole bag. It's a 2-pound bag. So you'll need this whole bag, and then you need 3 tablespoons of the margarine powder. I am using a stand mixer. And we're basically just incorporating the powder in so it's well combined. And I've actually never done royal icing before, so first time here. And we just let this go slow, the low speed, just so it can incorporate the margarine and the powdered sugar. So now that the meringue and the powdered sugar is mixed, we add our water. This is 2/3 cup. I'm gonna add half of it. I'm not gonna add the whole amount, just because water does go a long way when you're making icing. So I will pour in half, and we'll add more if we need it, or less if we need it. And I'll show you what it looks like. So you can see it's slowly incorporating, and it's starting to get somewhat like icing. So now we're going to add the 1/4 cup of corn syrup to this. This helps give it that shine. And again, I've never made this recipe, so we'll see how it turns out. But what I found is this is a pretty easy royal icing to make, so that's why I wanted to give this one a try. So you can see what it looks like with the cornstarch, a little bit of water. It's starting to look like an icing, but it's still too thick, so I'm gonna add a little more water to it. And then I'll start adding the vanilla and the butter extract. I'm gonna add the butter extract now. And this is 1 tablespoon. You don't have to add this step. I just wanted to add a little more flavor to it. And this is not my recipe, so the lady who made this, she was saying she liked the butter flavor to it and adds a little more flavor, so that's what I'm doing. Now we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And this is still looking a little thick, so I'm going to add a little water to it, just a little bit, not too much. It was literally a drizzle. We are going to add the white food coloring, and this helps, is what the lady was saying. It helps with color bleeding, so if you're using multiple colors, this helps so it won't bleed into the other color that you make. So we're doing 1 teaspoon. And because of the vanilla extract in the butter extract, the white helps it bring it back to its natural white look. Um, when you use those extracts, if it's not clear, it will tint your icing. And I think I need to add a little more of the water because it looks a little on the thick side. Yeah, I think I need a little more water. So I got the icing to a thick, because when you do the royal icing, you need two types of thickness or consistencies. One is your outline, so you outline the cookie with the outlining of the icing. So it should be pretty thick. The second one is a flood icing. So that's what you fill in the cookie, and it should be a lot thinner. And I made the icing to the thickness, and then I will color it to the colors that I want it, and then I can add a little more water to it to loosen it and make the flood icing. So that is what we're going to be doing next. But I covered it with a paper towel, a wet paper towel. I actually use napkins because I don't have any paper towel, and I just wet them and then covered it. If you don't cover it, your icing will become crusty, and that's not what you want. So cover your icing once you are done and you're satisfied with the consistency. And you can see how thick it is on the spatula. So pretty thick. And it tastes good, y'all. It's not too sweet because that butter extract, it helps cut the sugar. But you can see, like, it's kind of shiny, glossy, like. Tastes really good.
I wanted a plate full of icing.
A plate full of icing?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stinkus. All right, so we're gonna get some of the icing and color it.
Blue?
Yes, you see how it's like really pliable? I need to get enough of it.
Dad?
Yes, and I'll show you. Like, I don't know if you can actually see it, you can't. But it has a nice consistency, so you want a soft peak. So, you want a soft peak, and if you know what a soft peak is, it basically is where it like melts back into itself, but not very quickly, just very soft. It's not as thick, and it's just a smooth consistency. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a blue icing, probably 2 colors of blue and 1 icing that is not, it's gonna be white. With this, we're going to do a blue, and we're gonna do like 3 drops of blue because I really don't know what the consistency will be like. 1, 2, 3. So I got 3 drops of blue. The next color we'll use is peacock blue, and I'll do like 2 drops of that one, or maybe even 1. So when you do your thick outlining icing, this can also be for details as well. So if you were like making something that had a lot of detail, or you want it to be a little puffed out, this is what you would use that icing for. And you can see it's a very light blue color. I'm sorry I don't have the best lighting here, but it's a pretty blue. And then we're gonna add this to a icing bag. So I have a mug here, and I'm basically just put the piping bag that I got from Amazon And I'm going to just put all this icing in the bag, like so. This is the best way I found how to do this when it comes to icing, because you don't have to like get it all over the place or use someone else to help you get the icing in the bag. This is just very convenient. Very, very convenient. And then we just take it off the mug, and you can see the icing is in the bag. And yes, I know there's not a lot in this bag, but you don't need a lot when it comes to your lining. Unless you're doing a bunch of cookies. I only have about, I want to like 22, 24 cookies, as if no one ate any. And then you just tie a knot. And when you do this, you're gonna cut at the very tip, because you want the line to be very small. So now we're going to do the flood icing in the same color. So we basically need the icing, and we're gonna use the same bowl since it's the same color. And just make sure that you cover up your icing each time you're about to use it. Or if you're not using it, just cover it up. Make sure you cover it up. And then we are going to add 4 drops of the blue food coloring. One, two, three. Four drops of food coloring, and then we're gonna add just a little bit of water, so like a splash of water, just to help loosen it up. And again, this is our flood icing. And remember, water goes a long way with your icing, so you don't need a bunch of your water. And I think we're going to need just a little more water, because it's almost there, but I want it to be just a little looser, especially for my first time making this. If you've never made royal icing, watch a few videos to see how people are doing their royal icing. But this is basically like a light blue. So I'm gonna add like just a couple of drizzles or drops as best as I can, just so we can get that consistency of a flood. It's got to be loose, very loose. And when you mix it, and if you pull it up and then it drips back and you like have the ribbons, it's called the ribbon effect. But you basically want to see if the icing is going to melt back into it, and it's still not quite. So I'm going to add just a little more water, because it's still not there yet, but it will get there. Just add very little water at a time. If you add too much water, then you'll have to thicken it back up with powdered sugar. So if you go too far, just remember, powdered sugar will get it there. So this is more of the consistency that I was looking for, because you can ribbon it and it's melting back into itself. So this is the consistency that I was talking about with your flood icing. If you look and you ribbon it on back and forth to see what it's gonna do, you can see it's like slowly melting back into itself. And if you jiggle it, it all disappears. So that's what you want, a consistency like this. You ribbon it on itself, if you jiggle it, it should just melt back into itself. So that is what you want. This is a flood icing. The other one is thicker, so it won't do that. So we got another piping bag. These are disposable. We got our mug. We're just putting it on the inside. Push this down a little bit. And I try to get no icing up top. That's why I try to pull this down. So there's no icing around this part. And I try not to even get it up here. I try to get it right in the middle. That way, when it's time to tie it into a knot, it will not have a bunch of icing up there. So let's pour this in. This is a really pretty blue. Then we just take it off to get as much of it down as possible. And then we push it down. And we tie a knot. And this takes me a second. You can buy little clips, or you can rubber band it however you would like, just as long as the icing does not come out the wrong end. And this is why I try to push it down as much as possible. That way I have enough room to work with so I can tie a knot. So here's our outlining, and here's our flood. And you can kind of see they're pretty much the same color. I feel like the outlining is a little darker, but you can't really tell by much, so it'll work. It's probably because I added a lot more water to this one, but they're pretty close to color. So now we have all our icings. We have the outlining and the floods. I'm only doing white and 2 types of blues. And we have our cookie here. This is a little spin table that I got. And it also came with some little picks. So this is called a scribe. It's not a pick. Scribe is what it's called. And it helps you mend your icing in, or like blend them. So first thing is we need to cut the tips of these off. And we're gonna start with our outlining. I got a classic little shape. My cookie is on the thick side, but it's gonna be all right. So it's like a little stocking. And we gotta cut the tip of it off. When you do your outlining, you want it to be a small tip. If you're doing the flood, you can do a little bigger. So this one is the outline. So we want it as small as possible. Then we just flatten it, and let's go for the outline. So it did work. I just want to see if it's gonna. Yeah, it works. It works, y'all. So I feel like the tip is not as small, which will be fine for this case. For our first time doing it, we will be just fine. And then we are going to flood it. So I feel like the tip of the outline should be a little smaller, but we'll be all right. And then this is where this comes into play, and you just move it around. And it like melts into itself, so. And I like it. It's working, y'all, it's working. This one is the flood. That's the outline. I'm gonna try to keep all the floods together and all the outlines together so I don't get confused which one is which. I probably should mark them. This is the outline. I'm gonna tell you now, this is not easy. If you could see the lines on this, you'd be like, what? What happened? I probably should push and then lift up. We're gonna see what happens. Oh yeah, much better. If you push, lift up, and pull, it works a whole lot better. So this is our practice one. Our practice. I'm sure I will definitely get better when I do more of these. And then we'll make this one just a little bigger because it is the flood. And then we just fill in. It's gonna definitely look it's not the prettiest, but it's the first one, y'all. It's the first one. I ain't sweating it. All right. I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. My son ate 2 of the cookies so far. Was it delicious? This was my very first cookie with the royal icing, and you can tell. And thank you for coming. But I'll add something to it just so it looks a little festive, but those are the cookies we just did. Hello, Miss Kim. And then we did these. This was my very first cookie, so this is my first time doing this icing. But you can see different. And we got a lot of cookies to go. There's like 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 more cookies over here to do. And then I have those 4, well 5 that are undone. Hello, try it. Let's put them on camera. Do you like it? Is it yummies?
Yes.
Is it 2 thumbs up or just 1 thumbs up?